Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out some insanely spicy battles in the Great League featuring a level 50 XL Dratini. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. At level 50, Dratini only gets to 1,136 CP, so it's going to need all the help it can get. For the team, this trainer pairs it up with a Politoed on the lead and a Guzzlord. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out XL Dratini in action in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, leading Shadow Politoed into Mew. On paper, this is a fairly neutral matchup, but Mew can have access to Wild Charge, which would deal massive super effective damage to the Politoed. Mew is going to tank the Weather Ball and has enough for the Wild Charge. We see the immediate shield from the Shadow Politoed. Mew full sends the Wild Charge and then save switches into a Shadow Zapdos. Politoed farms up a ton of energy and then catches the Drill Peck onto the Guzzlord. Guzzlord is still going to take a lot of damage from the Drill Peck, and Shadow Zapdos is very spammy, able to outpace the Guzzlord and force the final shield. So unfortunately, now down 0 shields to 2, things are looking a bit tough here as there are no shields remaining for Dratini. Dragon Claw is going to get the shield, Shadow Zapdos is going to fire off the last second Drill Peck. This will be lethal, and then honestly, I think you send in Dratini. In comes Dratini. Dratini gets the farm down. Opponent is going to send in Shadow Gliscor. Do they know about the Aqua Tail? XL Dratini going for the Aqua Tail. Big damage onto the Gliscor and the snipe with the Shadow Politoed. Shadow Politoed has back-to-back moves loaded. Weather Ball gets the shield, loses CMP to that Shadow Gliscor. Gliscor goes for the Night Slash. That is not going to KO. Shadow Politoed able to hang on. This Weather Ball is going to be lethal. Down goes the Gliscor. Back in comes the Mew. Mew unable to farm down. Politoed reaches one final Weather Ball, taking out the Mew, and that is a good game. Picking up a very nice lead in the next match, Shadow Politoed into Frostlass with 2 Dragon types in the back. Very nice to catch the Ice type on the lead. Politoed over farming, going for the Weather Ball, but a beautiful catch by the opponent, catching the Weather Ball onto Lantern. Bad news for the Lantern, however, as it gets absolutely crushed by Guzzlord. Guzzlord is able to resist Lantern's standard moveset, so Lantern is in an incredibly rough situation here. Meanwhile, for Guzzlord, you can just fire off a Dragon Claw, farm down, and leave with a lot of energy to threaten the Frostlass if the opponent decides to bring it back in. Lantern going for charge move number 2. They're going for the harder hitting Thunderbolt. Again, Guzzlord just does not care and gets the farm down. Opponent is going to be sending back in the Frostlass. They continue to farm up, and Guzzlord has so much energy, baiting with the Dragon Claw, getting the shield, and now going for the crunch. Is the opponent willing to double shield in this matchup? They are not. Frostlass nearly taken out, and they're forced to fire off a last second charge move. Frostlass going for the Shadow Ball, maybe expecting a potential catch. In comes Dratini. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Moving into the next match, picking up a slightly negative lead, Shadow Politoed into Umbreon. This matchup is won by Umbreon, mainly just off of Umbreon's incredible bulk. Umbreon able to withstand charge move after charge move while spamming out foul plays at a pretty fast rate. Politoed overfarming quite a bit and is going for the Blizzard. Blizzard is non-stab, but will do some significant damage. In comes Guzzlord. Umbreon firing off a last second charge move. They go for the last resort, and now in comes Swampert. Opponent clearly does not have a good response to Guzzlord, as Swampert does not have a comfortable matchup here. Swampert is going to let that through. Swampert does have enough energy for the Earthquake here, and we do see the shield from the Guzzlord. Guzzlord commits the shield. It's a Hydro Cannon bait, and this is only another Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will hurt, but Guzzlord will be able to tank that and get the full farm down. That is massive. We'll have to see. Are they going to send in their third Pokemon? They are not. They're going to send in Umbreon. Umbreon met with the loaded Dragon Claw from Guzzlord. Dragon Claw gets a shield. Guzzlord has a second Dragon Claw loaded as well, applying a lot of pressure here. Umbreon lets that through. Umbreon reaches a last second move, and at this point you just let the Guzzlord go, because you can save your shield for Dratini. Gonna send in Politoed. Politoed gets the farm down in the bag. They have Zapdos, and Zapdos is going to be met with a Weather Ball from the Politoed. That gets the shield. In comes Dratini, and that is a good game. Great lead in the next match. Shadow Politoed into Nidoqueen. You love to see it. Opponent will immediately save switch into Umbreon. Politoed staying in, farming up energy. Switch and a beautiful catch. Catching the foul play onto the Guzzlord where it's going to be resisted. Very nicely done. And now Guzzlord is in a prime position to fight this Umbreon. Umbreon is going to start firing off Last Resorts. Last Resort will hit for some decent neutral damage, but it doesn't get same type attack bonus. Guzzlord firing off another Dragon Claw that is going to land onto the Umbreon, and Guzzlord is able to win CMP. This Dragon Claw is not going to KO, but neither will this Last Resort from the Umbreon. We'll have to see. I'm not sure if this is quite farm down range. Guzzlord may need to throw a charge move here. Guzzlord is going to fire off the Dragon Claw, not taking any chances. Dragon Claw is going to KO, and Guzzlord keeps switch, and that's quite nice because Shadow Politoed has energy, and it can use it to threaten shields off the Nidoqueen. Weather Ball is going to land onto the Nidoqueen. In the back, the opponent has Scrafty, and Scrafty is just going straight for the power-up punch, and this is quite scary, as Dratini does not have a lot of bulk to it, so boosted counters are going to absolutely shred. Weather Ball gets the shield. In comes XL Dratini, and look at the counter damage. Dratini getting absolutely shredded. Scrafty goes for another power-up punch. Dratini farming up, able to make it to a wrap. Firing off the wrap onto the Scrafty. Scrafty lets it through, but this is now in a range where a single Weather Ball is going to KO. Politoed firing off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball does get the shield. The question is, can Politoed withstand these boosted counters to win this game? Scrafty continuing to farm up. Politoed makes it to the Weather Ball. This is going to KO. All that's left is the Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen not going to be able to farm down. Opponent realizes it, and they stop attacking. Politoed, Weather Ball, taking care of the Nidoqueen, and securing the victory. Great lead in the next match. Shadow Politoed into Stunfisk. Opponent save switches into Tropius. Tropius goes for a Leaf Blade, but it's going to be caught onto Guzzlord. Guzzlord able to absorb that Leaf Blade damage, no problem, and continue to farm. Tropius is going to be firing off an Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace will hit for neutral damage, but it's not the strongest move ever. Guzzlord going for a Crunch here, hoping to try and get a potential debuff. Crunch does get the shield, does not get a debuff, and Guzzlord able to reach Crunch number 2, applying a lot of pressure onto the opponent. Opponent is going to double shield. They really want switch. In comes Dratini. Dratini is going to tank a move. Can it tank an Aerial Ace? It actually can. Unfortunately, Tropius able to reach a second move, and Dratini is going to be forced to shield the Aerial Ace. Dratini able to get the farm down and leaves with energy to threaten the Stunfisk, and the opponent is going to send back in the Stunfisk. Dratini firing off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail lands. In comes the Shadow Politoed, and Politoed is going to fire off the loaded Weather Ball. Weather Ball gets them low. In the back, opponent has Swampert, and Swampert is going to be met with a Shadow Blizzard from Politoed. Politoed, massive damage, nearly KOing the Swampert. Swampert only able to make it to a Hydro Cannon. That's not going to KO. In comes the Stunfisk. Politoed, after this mud shot, should be at the Weather Ball, which means it's game over. Politoed commits the shield, even over farms just a little bit extra for the heck of it. Weather Ball, looks like the opponent may have closed their app, is going to take out the Stunfisk and secure the win. Terrible lead in the next match. Shadow Politoed into Trevenant. Politoed actually going to stay in this matchup and look to catch. Farming up and catches the Seed Bomb onto Dratini. Let's see how much damage this does. Seed Bomb, honestly, it still does quite a bit, and the opponent sends in Charmalola Ninetales. It's very good to bait out the Charm-A9, because that would absolutely crush the Guzzlord in the back. Back in comes the Shadow Politoed. Politoed did bank some energy from earlier, and now is going to begin to apply some pressure onto the Ninetales. Ninetales able to make it to a Weather Ball. We are going to see a shield from the Politoed, as you definitely do not want to allow the Ninetales to charm down. Politoed has so much energy here, going to be firing off a Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to KO. In comes the Trevenant. Politoed not quite able to make it to the Blizzard. How good is the opponent's counts? They still shield. In comes Guzzlord. Trevenant staying in this matchup and they are not in a great spot here because Seed Bomb not going to do a lot of damage. They reveal their final Pokemon, and it's Galarian Stunfisk. This is where having Crunch on Guzzlord is quite nice, as Crunch is able to hit for some neutral damage and grab an early defense drop. Opponent goes for the Rock Slide here. Rock Slide not going to KO, so Guzzlord does not have to respect it. Going for a bait here. This is quite risky. Dragon Claw bait gets the shield. That is massive. Continuing to farm. The switch clocks are misaligned. Let's see, can it be taken advantage of? Aggressive switch into the Shadow Politoed and the snipe with the Weather Ball. Very nicely done. That's going to KO the Stunfisk. In comes the Trevenant. It's going to be a race. Guzzlord is met with a move from Trevenant. Can it survive a Seed Bomb? Yes, it can. Guzzlord with 1 HP, able to hang on, crunch the Trevenant, and that is a good game. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Shadow Politoed into Galarian Stunfisk. Opponent will immediately save switch into Shadow Swampert, which will be met with Dratini. Dratini may be only 1100 CP, but these Dragon Breaths are adding up quite a bit versus the Swampert. Swampert shields up the Aqua Tail. Swampert does have a ton of energy here. Dratini commits the shield. It's just a Hydro Cannon. Opponent throwing the back-to-back Hydros, but honestly, a resisted Shadow Hydro may be enough to KO Dratini. Dratini is very glassy. Dratini able to make it to another Aqua Tail, applying pressure onto the opponent. Are they willing to double shield? Yes, they are. And we're going to have to see, can Dratini survive? Dratini cannot and loses switch. In comes Shadow Politoed. Opponent gives up switch and able to farm up a ton of energy and then catch the Seed Bomb onto Guzzlord. Opponent giving up switch may have been a fatal mistake, as now Guzzlord has found its target. Guzzlord has a dominating matchup here. Trevenant goes for the Shadow Ball. Guzzlord shakes it off. Guzzlord will have to fire off a Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is easily going to KO here. Opponent going to be sending in that Galarian Stunfisk. Guzzlord is very low, but has quite a lot of energy. Guzzlord going to be firing off the Crunch. Crunch is going to land, gets the defense drop. Opponent going for the Mud Shot down, but Guzzlord says no. Able to reach another Crunch. This Crunch will get the Stunfisk low, and we see another Snipe. Very nicely done. This Weather Ball is going to KO. Back in comes the Swampert. Politoed is just too spammy. Weather Ball is going to be taking care of the Shadow Swampert, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, picking up a terrible lead, Shadow Politoed into another Trevenant. Same game plan as before, going to look to farm up on the Politoed and catch onto Dratini. Goes for the catch, opponent able to hold on to their energy here and fire off a charge move before Dratini gets there. Trevenant is gonna bait with a Seed Bomb. Dratini goes for the Aqua Tail, and the opponent is going to send in Typhlosion. Aqua Tail is going to do a lot of damage. Typhlosion able to incinerate down. Dratini is just too glassy. Guzzlord able to snipe and deny Typhlosion's energy. In the back, the opponent has Charizard, so they are running a double fire strategy. Guzzlord, Dragon Claw, gets the shield from the opponent. Guzzlord continuing to farm. Dragon Claws from Charizard are definitely going to hurt here. Guzzlord commits the shield. Guzzlord trying to make it to another Dragon Claw, but gets outpaced by the Charizard. Dragon Claw is going to grab that final shield. Guzzlord continuing to farm. A catch here could prove to be massive. Dragon Claw is going to get the shield. In comes Politoed. Opponent's going to send in the Trevenant. Trevenant does have stored energy. They go for the Seed Bomb. That gets Politoed low. Politoed makes the Blizzard. Blizzard will easily be one-shotting in this matchup. Goodbye, Trevenant. Back in comes the Charizard. This is going to be close. Guzzlord, can it survive a Dragon Claw here? Charizard, Dragon Claw, gets the Guzzlord low. Guzzlord able to farm down and secure the win. All in all, some incredibly fun battles featuring XL Dratini. I can only hope that after these battles were done, it was evolved into a Dragonite, because XL Dratini, while it was very, very fun to watch, being only 1100 CP, man, it really could not tank a hit. But again, massive props to this trainer, as those battles were incredibly spicy. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.